Hi guys, Jay Knowlton here once again, and today we're talking once again about foreigners maybe having difficulties coming to Japan. But it's different than the visa rules that we talked about before because, according to an article that was released on the 7th, which I believe was Friday, on Asahi Shimbun. It's funny because the other day I did Mainichi Shimbun and I translated as like everyday newspaper instead of just being like daily news kind of thing, but Asahi Shimbun. And the title is kind of like the government is considering putting restrictions, deciding kind of discussing putting restrictions about accepting foreign nationals. And it's kind of, well, they're already doing a lot of restrictions by changing visas anyway. But this time they're kind of focusing on the fact that they're looking at a 10% figure and about how a lot of countries are over 10% already, the number of foreigners in other countries. Like, for example, in the UK, it's way more than 10%. In many parts of Europe, it's more than 10%. Whether that's good or bad or not, I mean, it's up to the person to decide. It depends what the people do in those countries. But Japan is looking at when that 10% mark's going to come. And first of all, I find it quite weird because in the article it says they're looking that it might get to 10% of foreign nationals being in Japan in 2070, which of if you're watching this video before 2070, that is 44 years into the future. Now, I am 35 now, so I will be 79, probably not here anymore. Let's be realistic. I know some of you have commented about me being fat, so I'm probably not going to make it to 79, but it's I don't know, like I can kind of see sensing looking at policies of other visas and whether they're fair or not. How do we make sure things are like economically viable, socially viable? But to look at this 10% figure, which you're projecting to be 44 years into the future, like, haven't you got other things to be doing at this moment? Like, it feels like more should be done right now to fix problems right now rather than because even still, 44 years into the future and then 10%. I mean, some countries are probably going to be like 99% in 44 years' time. We might not even be here anymore, like in terms of the world. So it's quite interesting that they're looking 44 years into the future, this 10% figure. Now, what I did find interesting, and of course I'm going to link the article. I'm not sure if I can use the image on the article because I'm sure it's copyrighted by the newspaper or the news website. But it does have a look at 34. Now, it's kind of like Shiku Machimura. I think there's another way to read that. Like Shi is city, Ku is ward, Machi is town, Mura is village. I think there's another way to read that kanji, and I've just forgotten what it is. However, there's 34 of like either a city, either a ward, either a town or a village that already have more than 10% of the population of that area that are foreign. Now, it's interesting looking at some of them, and 34 to some people might sound like a big number, but also there are probably thousands of towns, cities, villages, wards. If you look at just Tokyo, there's 23 wards, and then there's villages, then there's towns and cities within Tokyo, Machidashi, and stuff like that. Hachioji, stuff like that. Takasaki, that's in Gunma. Sorry, what's the one that's in Tokyo? Oh, what's the place in beginning with the T? Oh, I don't know what. There's an IKEA there, and I've completely forgot what it is. Not Tamagawa, but it's near Tamagawa. It's Takazaki's in Gunma. T with an IKEA. Sorry, I'm gonna Google while I'm filming, and I'm not gonna edit it out. IKEA Tokyo. What is it? What is it? I've typed in IKEA Tokyo, and it's come up with the one that's in Chiba. What is it? There's unless it's not there anymore. T Tachikawa, that's the one. Sorry about that. Sorry about this distraction. But so it's interesting looking at some of these specific places. So the biggest the biggest percentage of foreigners are all in Hokkaido. Now, I can't read some of these. Like the kanji is Akaigawa Mura, but I don't know if it's that reading for the actual city because kanji can be read many ways. So, for example, Shinden, Nita have the same kanji, but sometimes it's read as Shinden, sometimes it's read as Nita. So it can completely depend on the reading. So it looks like Akai Gawamura, but I don't know if that's the correct reading. 36.75% foreigners. And actually, Hokkaido has five, and they're all over 20%. Now, Hokkaido has a lot of ski resorts and stuff like that. So I wonder if this is connected to places that don't really have many people living there, but they've got people living there working on the resorts. And I know there's a big Muslim population in Hokkaido as well. They just had a big controversy about building a mosque there. There's a lot of Indian people there, I think, too, because the Indian International School that's in Tokyo tried to open a branch in Hokkaido and they got shut down as well. And then Niseko Machi is one of the places with a ski resort, 21.16%. I'm going to talk about places. So in Gunma, there's a place called Oizumi Machi, which has 21.84%. Now, this is famous because I've been here before. It's actually nicknamed Brazilian Town. Now, if you look at the Japanese relationship with Brazil in the past, there are many, many Brazilians living in Japan because of, they used to have a lot of Brazilians coming to work. A lot of them stayed here. A lot of them had babies with Japanese people. There were so many half Brazilian people who had like a Japanese dad or a Brazilian mom and stuff like that. A lot of them could live in Japan because they were half Japanese, or a lot of them had maybe had family living here for generations. But I was surprised by Kusatsu and Numata because they are like onsen towns, or Numata is more of a mountain area, but Kusatsu is an onsen. It's a very famous onsen, Kusatsu Onsen. So I wonder what the foreign population is. Is there a ski resort in Gunma, or do they just have a lot of foreign workers working around the resort to keep it, going? So I thought that was quite interesting. Now Tokyo only has three wards and areas that are over 10%, which is surprising. Arakawa, which is 11.38. Toyoshima, which is, I didn't even know there were many houses there. I only know it as a place where you can. Oh no, I'm thinking of Tsukishima. So Toyoshima, I'm not actually that familiar with. So they have 13.0, and then Shinjuku, which is 14.46. Now, I think the other thing about Shinjuku is that when it comes to young people under 30, I think it's way higher. So that number is going to shoot up. There's a few like Hakone in Kanagawa, and I'm going to guess because that's a resort area, there's probably a lot of foreigners working around the resort. Yokohama Shichu or Chuku Nakaku. It just says Naka and Ku, so 12.59. So it's interestingly, it's not Yokohama on its own. But Osaka also has quite a lot of places within Osaka city, but different wards within the city. So for me, looking at this, to be honest, I was surprised that it seemed much lower than I thought. I thought Shinjuku and more of Tokyo. I thought Shibuya might be on this list. I thought other places like Minato-ku, there's a lot of foreigners living in Minato-ku. When I lived in Oyamacho, which was in Shibuya, which is very near Yoyogi Park, basically everyone was a foreigner there, living in these humongous houses. I lived in the shitty apartment next door, but they all lived in these incredible houses with their shitty little kids playing table tennis in the street. But yeah, Japan is eyeing this 10% figure. Now, it's kind of counterproductive because we've talked about this before about, okay, limit the number of foreigners, make the regulations harder. Okay, but what is the goal of that? Because you have a very aging population with a very, very weak economy. And what is the goal of restricting the foreigners if you're not also actively trying to find ways to boost the population, make salaries in the economy better, make the kind of social norms better in terms of like being more friendly to children, friendly to each other, perhaps. My wife told me there was a lot of like people complaining online about people complaining summer festivals are too loud, and that's one of the sacred things about Japan's culture are the Bonodoris and the Obon festivals and stuff like that. And now if a lot of people are complaining those are too loud, the culture is going to get destroyed on its own by the very people who are trying to protect it. So it's kind of interesting to see what the aim is here. I guess if they're restricting permanent residency, that's not necessarily going to change the number of foreigners too much, because a lot of people will come here as technical trainees. And I think there's like 30 or 40,000 English teachers in Japan. I mean, again, that is what 0.3% of, no, even maybe 0.2.5% of the population. Is it? Is it? Is it though? Is that the correct maths? I might have got a zero wrong there, but it is, I think it's more. I think it's even more than 30,000 anyway. I think it might be 50. 50,000 times 100 is 5 million, and then times that by almost two and a half. So I think it is 0.025 to 0. I guess 0.25 or something like that. Which again, that's actually quite a lot. But yeah, what is the goal here? Like, they know that they need help with care. They need help with farming. They've just missed their self-sustainability target, and they seem they're going to be way off. I wonder what the goal is. Is it just to stay in power? Because again, 44 years into the future, the prime minister is going to change about 47 times within that. So it's very weird to follow. But guys, I'll link down the article down below. Again, it's in Japanese. And yeah, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.